Tara, thank you so much for taking the time to meet me today. You are one of my favorite people. I just love your mindset. I love how you think. I love the way you put things into perspective. And I have so many questions for you today. How are you? Should be my first question.
I am wonderful. And likewise, you are one of my very favorite people as well. Thank you for having me.
You. Of course. So, you have the brand Fail To Fab. And when I think about failure, I do not think about anything fab. I'm like, get me out of here. I don't want to be in this position. I didn't learn anything. Just get me out of here. I feel like a failure, right? But there's something about talking to you over the last couple of months that has helped me to shift my mindset. I wanted to talk to you more about how you came up with the name of your business. It's the classic, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? But your story of God and grace and grit has been so amazing. So I just want you to tell me more about the backstory of Fail To Fab, how you came up with the name, and why that mindset is so important to you.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. And it's kind of a hard, winding one to answer. So bear with me.
I'm here for it.
Well, the truth is that if you think about when you learned how to walk, right? You did not just rise when you were ready to walk and took 25 steps, looked at your parents and gave a cute little wave, and you were on your way. Like, that's not how we learned how to walk. That's not how you learned how to talk. That's not how you learned how to do anything, right? You like pulled yourself up, you sat on your butt a couple times, you probably fell forward a couple times, right? Because that's how we all do. And so I wanted to, so first of all, one, normalize the sense of when we start a business, we're learning how to walk again. And so when we do that, if we think back to that mindset of like, yeah, I didn't learn how to walk in a day, that's just not like, that's not realistic. So of course you're not going to be perfect at business in a day, and that's fine. It's not realistic. Like, we all learned how to walk. It's not, you know, so there's that. And then also in my years of helping companies, I came across sort of as standard struggles, but those struggles didn't mean that they were failures, and it didn't mean that they weren't going to be successful. It just meant that like there's struggle in anything that is worthwhile in doing. And also I wanted to normalize that struggle, and that you can go from like, there's always that feeling of failure. The first time something didn't work out exactly how we had in our head. The first time we tried something, we're like, oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to make $10,000 next month and it's going to be amazing and everyone's going to love me. Right. And then it flops for whatever reason. It could be it's not the right time. It could be your messaging's off. It could be it's not, a variety of reasons. But we can learn from those reasons and then make it better the next time. And so that's not the end point. That's just the start point. So we can go from feeling like a failure to feeling super fabulous as long as we take that path.
I love that. I love it for so many reasons. So when you talked about it not being the end point, but being the starting point, that's the mindset shift that I got from talking to you. Because a lot of times you do the business launch, or you write the book, or you start the podcast, and you're like, no listeners, no one bought it, no one is interested. And you're like, okay, well, I guess that's the end. No. Tara says, this is just the beginning. What did you learn from it? What did you do? Like, even it's just your expectations. Maybe you went in thinking, all right, overnight success, I'm a millionaire, I'm going to retire. Did you put in all the tools to, really make that happen? And then when you talked about as a little kid, you fell forward, I'm like, that is such a great way to put it, because you talk about failing forward and failing fast, right? So I think it's amazing that you look at it from childhood as, a kid walking. We don't expect a newborn to get up out of the womb and be like, all right, fly out your nest, right? We give them that grace. But why is it that as women, especially in businesses, we don't give ourselves that grace? So talk to me more about, failing forward, why that's important. How do you fail forward?
So it really starts with this idea that you're starting at a place, right? You're
Yeah.
not finishing, you're starting.
Mm-hmm.
And so this idea that you're starting, you can really think about, okay, well, I'm starting with this. And then the next time when I'm done with this, like whether it's sending out an email and there's no opens, or the open rate's not what you're looking for,
Right.
or launched a product, like you said, you've written a book, you can really take, like after that, it's taking a step back. And one of my favorite tools is an evaluate tool, where we look at, okay, what went well, what didn't go well, and what are my lessons learned, what are my improvements that I can make for the next time. And sometimes in that learning step, right, because that's kind of the critical part of failing forward, is the learning step. And a lot of us, we don't take out a hot second just to pause, because we're like, oh no, we got to go on to the next thing, right?
Right.
Faster, faster, faster. And I think you talk a lot about that, like, let's stop this grind mindset, right? And it's that pause step, that step that says, okay, let's take a second, just a second, and learn something. And so that may mean, like, yes, this is going great. Like, one, is it going great? And can I just keep doing what I'm doing, which is wonderful? Is this an absolute flop? Like, we're just going to cut our ties and move on to the next failure as quickly as we can, which is fine. That's a perfectly okay thing to do. That's a clear no. And then the third thing is this learn more step. Like, I have no idea. Maybe it was a failure. Maybe it wasn't a failure. Maybe like I just need to switch up something. And that's a learn more step. And so that learn more step may mean talking to your core audience. It could be, and asking some really critical questions. It could be talking to yourself and asking some really critical questions of like, is this a path that is really one that I want to go on?